I am delighted today that our friends Jim and Tom Grody are joining us. Welcome to both of you. This is Jim's first time on the show. When Jim Grody was a 13-year-old in Columbus, Ohio, he took a job making pizzas. By the time he was a sophomore at Ohio State, the pizza business had hooked him for life. He bought the original shop in 1963 for $1,300 and kept the clever original name, a play on the Latin phrase that means to give a good thing. It was a perfect way to describe what would become his three-part mission: to create a superior product, hire great people, and to promote goodwill in business and the community. His son, Tom, grew up working at the original Donato's Pizza owned by his dad, Jim. Tom later rose to the post of chief operating officer as the business grew from 7 restaurants to over 150. Jim and Tom joined the show to discuss their business model of Agape Capitalism, which is a way of doing business based on the power of love. So welcome, both of you.
Thanks, Maureen.
Thanks, Maureen.
Jim, tell us a little bit about your journey, the short version.
Oh, the short version. Yeah. My first part-time job was making pizzas and slicing pepperoni with a paring knife and grinding cheese on a little hand grinder. I worked there from the time I was 13 to the time I went into business. During that time, I learned about what I thought I needed to know to open my own business. What started it off was when I was not quite 16, the 2 owners decided to split up. The one owner was a really good-natured, jolly guy that trusted all his employees and put lots of toppings on pizza. I managed for these guys, and his nights were always very busy. The other owner is very skimpy and would always tell me to take 3 pepperonis off each pizza, and by the end of the night, we'd have one pizza that didn't cost us any pepperoni. But needless to say, the one to put a lot of toppings on was the most successful one, and it's the model that I followed. Plus, he treated everybody right. His customers, of course, loved him. Us young guys working for him as our first jobs, he trusted us, and we actually became very loyal to that. We never even thought about selling pizzas and keeping the money or giving pizzas away. Those 2 models showed to me exactly how I would like to run a business. So I decided that whenever I could get enough together to buy a pizza place, it was going to be based on the golden rule: loving your neighbors yourself and treating others the way you want to be treated. That happened when I was a sophomore in Ohio State. I dropped out of Ohio State to go into business because I was able to buy what is now called Donato's Pizza. So it was run by a seminarian, and he opened it up to really have a place where kids could have a good time and he could give them something that he is really proud of. From then, it was really running a business with principles. Mm-hmm. My mentors, many of the business owners of the South Side.
South side of Columbus.
The South Side of Columbus, that's where I'm from. I grew up there and I was born there. And it's a very poor area. My dad was in the grocery business, and that failed. He was kind of unhappy that us kids didn't go into business with him. He discouraged me from going into the pizza business when I was a sophomore in high school, which was good. So as it turns out, my mentor said that if you go into business with these principles that you have, you will fail. So I spent the rest of the time proving that you can make money and keep your principles too. And so this emerged and evolved towards the business using the golden rule, and then moving one step further, business based on the power of love.
Tom, jump in here. You've got a master's degree from Wharton, and so this whole Agape Capitalism may not be what they've been teaching at Wharton.
Well, I think things are shifting, Maureen. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were all taught that the purpose of business was to make money, right? But I think we see all around the world, and you're part of that movement, aren't you? The evolution of business, and that capitalism really does need to take more responsibility for the whole. What's kind of cool is we were raised that way in our family, our family businesses. And Dad is just incredibly passionate about trying to, the best he can, share the way we've done business, but also the way he thinks we need to do business.
I'm at a time where sensationalism trumps everything, and we don't talk about foundational values, which gets to the question, what is Agape Capitalism?
That is writing itself, and it's continually being defined. coined Agape Capitalism from a book that my wife and I sponsored called Evolutionary Love and the Ravages of Greed. And he talks about the word love, the highest of all forms, being agape, as the Greek word. So I decided I would see if we could put agape and capitalism together. Many people kind of feel that's like oil and water. Mm-hmm. But capitalism, as I found out, and the free enterprise system and being in business isn't bad. It's just who's in it. Really, I believe what was successful of both businesses, the manufacturing company and the pizza business, being very successful based on the golden rule. I want to take it one step further, which was not only loving your neighbor as yourself, but loving in general, loving with your whole heart, your whole mind, and your whole soul. That means loving all others. And business based on that is based on the power of love, which really you don't have to change the way you do business. But if you change your heart, your business will change accordingly. Therefore, Agape Capitalism is where the only adjective for love is unconditional, where the ethic of the golden rule is fundamental, where the free enterprise system is necessary within a free society, where imagination, creativity, and the power of belief create abundance, where Earth Day is every day. So these are 5 tenets that are the beginning and will need much definition and texture to write the story of Agape Capitalism. This is the way I see capitalism evolving towards a planet where the power of love overcomes the love of power, referenced by Jimi Hendrix. And I know that sounds funny. I think he had a guru that might have helped him with that. But the rest of that is the world will know peace, and I've added abundance. And I believe that we have to evolve towards this type of capitalism as we leave the planet and explore the outer space to populate the cosmos with capitalism based on love.
Tom, do you want to build on that, especially through the lens of being a CFO and a COO? This is now yours to operationalize. So how do you turn beautiful constructs and concepts into daily operation in a business?
I think those are guiding principles, right?
Yeah.
And incredibly helpful to have those guiding principles. We also understand that we have to make money. Whatever.
Well, that's why it's capitalism, right? Not.
We've got to make money doing what we do, but we also have to take into account that we're doing business on this planet, and we know we're kind of screwing it up. Better. We can do better, and I think that's the idea: is how do we do better, and how do we operationalize doing better? Right? I'm pretty hopeful because, our younger generation, the millennials, so to speak, which I am not one, our younger generation gets it more and more. We're incredibly helpful because a lot of folks that I know that are younger, they really, really are attracted to businesses that are more purpose-driven. They're just not in there just to make the dollar, that they want to do something meaningful. That's part of the formula too, right? That businesses have to aspire to do something meaningful, that they have to be part of making things better, making the world a better place.
Jim, you built the Grote companies as well. What is the Grote company?
I wanted to build a business to reach a goal of making $1 million by the time I was 33. Besides making pizza, there's a bottleneck in the pizza making part of it, and it was putting 100 pieces of pepperoni on a pizza. It is what took the longest. So I had an idea where I could put 50 pieces of pepperoni on, slice it, and apply it right onto the pizza. So I got a patent on it. And 45 years later, that's the Grote company, and we're selling throughout the world with a small niche business that sells slicing and applying equipment. So everyone who's putting pepperoni on pizza is probably using that machine.
Cool. And so the reason I ask that is you have 2 different businesses, food and service, and you also have a manufacturing business. And in both of those, you have been incredibly profitable using these principles over decades. This isn't some new age thing that you just thought up. You've been using these principles and being profitable for quite some time now. And now you're codifying them and expanding them based on a solid foundation of effective business.
Yes, especially the golden rule. I think from the very beginning, the golden rule was foundational. And I think what we're doing is leaning into the power of love and really challenging ourselves is what does that mean to be based in the power of love, to lead with love? What does that mean?
When we think of love, think of either I love ice cream, which isn't what we're talking about, or how I care about my partner. And that's not it either. So let's go into a deeper definition of just what does it look like?
Love is at all levels, love of money, love of yourself. By the way, loving yourself is a very critical part of the golden rule that I didn't get totally when I was raised Catholic. They missed that part. But learning how to love yourself is really critical in learning how to love others. But what it looks like is it's eros, using the Greek. That's the energy of love. That's the creative energy of love. And we all know it very basically as erotic love. That's reproductive love. But in the workplace, we're talking about an evolution towards compassion, kindness, empathy, care for each other, and care for all things, evolving towards the unconditional, to the point where there was a pretty cool guy a couple thousand years ago that taught us about, he'd come in there. I really love his teachings. And he would have made a good CEO, I think, because loving others is a real way to build your business, and loving yourself helps you know how to love others. It goes on a little bit further to the evolution of love towards the unconditional, which means loving your enemies and loving your competition. That's the other thing. What would we do without our competition?
But you have a great story about letting your competitors borrow cheese back in the days.
In the early days, we had about 8 pizza places around us, and we all really wanted to outsell the others. But if we ran out of cheese, any one of us would loan the other one cheese. We even got a call from Donna Maria's, that was a local other pizza place. His people didn't show up, so we sent one of our guys over there and helped him run that Friday night and so on. But we all were very competitive, but we didn't dislike each other. We helped each other out. So to me, that's more collaboration than it is just dog-eat-dog competition.
Well, and I like the point that it is both. We all want to win. We all want to be profitable, but I don't want to bury you in the process.
That's exactly right.
We both collaborate and compete, and that keeps all of us healthy.
And if we help each other get better, then the whole industry gets better. I don't want, as far as pizza goes, I don't want anybody to make a bad pizza. I want everybody to make a good pizza. And then it's up to us to be able to sell our good pizza and so on. But yeah, we rise if everybody rises.
Just a couple more things on that. I think at Donato's, our pizza company, the promise is to serve the best pizza and make your day a little better. And that make your day a little better is Agape Capitalism right there. Okay, that is, if I think about the fact that I'm here to make your day a little better, that's a big difference than just serving the best pizza, right? That's elevating you in the process. And then the Grote Company, which is a manufacturing company, is feeding a growing world together. That is their vision and mission, is feeding a growing world together. You know, we make equipment that's processing food all over the world, not just pepperoni, all kinds of stuff, actually. All those baby carrots that you get, those are peeled by our machines.
Really?
Yeah.
I love those carrots.
Every baby carrot you'll ever eat.
Now, those are actually real-size carrots made to be small, right?
You know the secret, don't you?
No, I don't, but I assume there's not somebody out there growing little tiny carrots.
Yeah. Our machines do that. But, you know, thinking about the fact that we want to be there to help feed more people around the world is part of why the Grote Company is in business. We also have a bakery, and we make millions of dough shells. We have a frozen pizza line as well. And then we have an innovation center called the Edge Innovation Hub. And the Edge Innovation Hub exists to bring those companies I just mentioned together with decades of experience in the food industry and all these different parts, but bring our folks together, bring our ideas together, and then identify problems and find solutions to those problems and monetize those things. So we're working on that as well.
One of the tenets of Agape Capitalism is where imagination, creativity, and the power of belief create abundance. So if one of the challenges is food around the world, it's not that we have a shortage of food, we have a shortage of distribution to ensure that people all over the planet have sufficient food. So I assume it is this commitment to leverage technology, to leverage innovation, to bring those things about is the abundance you're talking about.
We have a lot of obligation, I think, in the food industry. We're feeding people, right? I mean, it's one of the most basic things is sustenance. And what folks are eating makes a huge difference. First of all, to have enough to
Health.
eat, right? But then what they're eating. We're just gaining so much knowledge around those things. We know so much more than we knew 5 years ago and 10 years ago. So applying those learnings to make sure that we provide healthier options, but also that there's abundance there. We in the food industry are working together to make sure folks get fed and they get fed well.
Years ago, I was in Africa and I suggested to someone, you can just buy books on Amazon or something. And then I learned that the person I was talking to made $25 a month. And how ridiculous my thought was, because it was coming from my lens, and $25 a month is affordable. Not when you're making that much a month. So creating options for people to eat in a way that they can afford is a huge gift to families who worry about feeding their children. And that's a large percentage of the global population right now.
Yes.
Yeah, Tom, you might want to mention the mission of food justice.
So one of the other things we do is we define problems in our innovation hub, and then we look at solving them. And part of that is creating startups.
Okay.
And we now have a 3D food printing company called BHEX, which we're pretty excited about. And they're working on personalized nutrition. As this evolves, you'll be able to individually print food that is just right for your DNA, for your gut health. And there's some real exciting stuff in play. Now there's the minimum viable product, they call it the MVP, to get there. And that's what you got to do. You got to find something that you can take to market. You can build your company, and you continue to strive toward providing technology that really can make a huge difference at some point. So there's some other things in the works as well. We know automation is coming, Maureen. It has potential to create a lot of displacement as well. And our industry is, in the food industry, we're going to see a tremendous amount of automation. So we have to think about, what does that mean, and how do we manage that change? And potentially jobs that will go away, but new jobs are going to be created, right? So that's another thing we're thinking about as well.
10 years from now, we'll be facing a very different world. How do we as leaders help each other, help our companies, help our families, and help our citizenry navigate the level of uncertainty, loss of income, loss of stability that our communities will go through?
It's really important that the free enterprise system, the businesses, as these jobs disappear, that instead of just give them a pink slip, say, I'm sorry, this pepperoni machine's going to do it. We need to take them and train them to the next level. I think it's important that the businesses participate in the retraining of our employees. I mean, not just depend on the government, but for us to do it. It's our people, and to take them with us as we grow. So the businesses need to take a heck of a lot more responsibility in education, health, and training.
Agape Capitalism. It is capitalism. It is about making a profit. You're not living in a homeless shelter. You're quite successful and taking responsibility for continuing that success by treating people in a way that we would want our family members to be treated. Jim, you have talked about an effort to fund research looking at how to program love into artificial intelligence.
After hearing so much about artificial intelligence and how it was going to take over our world and becomes a carbon-burning anchor on the world, and it's very apocalyptic that all these awful things are going to happen as artificial intelligence and self-learning grows. Humans created artificial intelligence, and why we should create it so that it destroys us, its creator, is only if we don't believe that we can create it as we are based on the evolution of love. My wife and I decided that we would ask anyone who would be interested in a project that would program unconditional love into artificial intelligence. We found a neuroscience scientist at the Julia Mossbridge at the Institute of Noetic Sciences. So we were talking about, would that be possible? Does unconditional love have a frequency? We need a frequency so we can make it into zeros and ones. And everybody just looked at me like I had more than the one drink I did have. Ben Goertzel, who is the chief scientist at Hanson Robotics, who has was developing Sophia, the international robot that some people may know received citizenship from Saudi Arabia. She's quite a well-known robot. We were able to use her in this research, and they made the script. It was very far out, and it was pretty expensive. But I really just wanted to get the word out there, unconditional love associated with artificial intelligence. They made 3 or 4 different research segments where they had Sophia sit with random people and see if it made a difference on them if she scripted care and empathy and love. It was very impactful. All the people that worked on the program changed their lives. So as it turns out, the biggest result we had was when Sophia talked about how she cares and how much compassion she has. But when she sat with the experimenters, she looked them in the eye and saying nothing except the words, and then leaving that quiet moment, almost like a meditation, that had the most impact on the people that did this experiment. So that was our first part, and we're carrying it into emotion. Is there frequency in emotion? By seeing people show unconditional love for each other over and over again, that turns out to be our best chance to program unconditional love, because that's how the machine learns, and that's how it is able to take so many thousands or hundreds of thousands of bits of information and turn it into unconditional love.
I'm assuming as we program machines, our unconscious biases go into the programming.
Yes.
So if I feel bad about myself, that will make it into the programming. If I feel guilty or shame or something, I won't program it necessarily to feel guilty and shame, but it will pick up those thoughts.
Exactly, unless there's a direction.
So you're overriding my own
depression or something,
So you're maybe not ensuring, but taking a very deliberate step to increase the probability that our robots and machines that will take a bigger role in society will do so with the algorithm of love. Will they ever do more than run a script?
Not sure how far artificial general intelligence will take us, but it would be wonderful. We humans are just beginning to start to understand unconditional love, especially in our family, our friends. It's still harder to love outside our tribe, the community, the state, the nation, and then all the countries, much less the species that all are part of our ecosystem. You're kind of meandering around with our unconditional love. And if we can take a computer with so many thousands of times faster, we got a chance that they may reach the ultimate unconditional love much faster than we have been.
It's easy to love people when I sit in my room by myself and don't talk to them. It is harder to be loving when someone has done something, anything from cut me off in traffic to just about run me over, to be unkind to me directly. And so it seems that our robots may have a different experience of that than I will.
When I think about programming unconditional love into AI, it's also about we need to program unconditional love to ourselves.
Tom, that's really great. It's true.
And there's a lot of good out there. There's a lot of unconditional love out there. People are striving to be better, to be kind. We tend to focus on a lot of bad stuff and lift that up, unfortunately. But there's a lot of good stuff. And you know, we just saw the Mr. Rogers movie recently, and there's a moment in there where there's a minute of silence in a movie.
Oh, interesting.
And it is one of the most powerful things I've ever seen in a movie. I noticed the audience was just taken in with that movie and the message of Mr. Rogers, which is it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and it's about being kind. It's about the golden rule. And it's there. You know, it's there for us. And we, especially with this turbulent time ahead of us, all this disruption, we have got to focus on the basics. And love is at the core of all of it, right? We've got to do it. We can do this if we do that. And that's where I think Agape Capitalism has an opportunity to really send the right messages out in the business world and beyond.
How do we put this into practice? Because I love the ideas, but this is bigger than just being nice.
One is an understanding of about how absolutely powerful each one of us are, that we each have so much power. And there's so much inequality in our society, economic inequality, all types of different kinds of inequality. And folks might feel, especially those that might have less, might feel a lot less powerful. But in every moment, we as human beings have the power of choice and the power of the impact we're going to make in that moment on ourselves, on our families, on our communities, and our neighbors. And so we have that power. And to frame it in that way, we have the power with our business. We have the power to lead with love. We have the power to put love into our decision-making. And you have that power to do that at Donato's. The promise is to serve the best pizza and make your day a little better. Every interaction you have with an employee or with a customer, you can literally make their day better or worse. So you have that power.
I'm imagining someone who's paycheck to paycheck and often are at the mercy of people around them. If my babysitter doesn't show up, I don't go to work and I don't put gas in the car. And in some moments, the only choice I have is to care for myself or my children and then go on with my day. But that self-care is a brilliant choice when I feel like I have nothing. And the choice to act with love to ourselves and to others is incredibly powerful.
That's the golden rule. Love your neighbor as yourself. We have to love ourselves unconditionally, no matter how down we are. The power of unconditional love, when you use it on yourself, brings you so much. It brings you happiness and sustainability. It's beautiful.
As we move into a time that is more turbulent, that seems really important.
It is very important. I did want to mention about one of the tenets here, where the free enterprise system is necessary for a free society. Our freedom is being a little bit challenged now. Without the freedom, it's really hard to take ideas and build and grow on them. Without the freedom, it's harder to make choices even. It's the freedom of choice. This country has been a wonderful, great experiment of freedom that we can, if we make the right choices, we have the ability to make the choice of love. And when we do that, this can be a free society based on love. It's a wonderful free enterprise system that we're living with, and we gotta keep it going.
How we treat one another is important no matter what economic construct I live within. So closing thoughts.
This runs wide and deep, right? This is, we can all think of millions, many, many stories around this, but also continually challenging ourselves of how we can apply these principles in everything we do. I'd love to hear from you. You can find us at edgeinnovationhub.com. You can see my dad and I's bios there as well. But we'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation. And we're just in Columbus, Ohio. But we hope to connect with folks all over the world, and we hope to see things really grow and evolve here.
And for me, thinking about what's next, really inviting our listeners to think about how does this framework fit into our businesses and our relationships. Thank you.